Picture this. You live in a fast-growing secondary city in Nigeria. Traffic is at its worst. Sanitation is failing. And rural youths keep flooding into the slums in search of opportunities. And difficult to forget that on the outskirts, farmers struggle to find reliable buyers for their harvests. This sounds like an unfixable problem until enter Suede. What is Suede? How does it work? What benefits could it possibly offer cities struggling with growth? Today, we'll break down how Suede's proven Kenyan model offers a blueprint for inclusive, climate-smart growth. And finally, not just why, but how exactly Nigeria's secondary cities stand to gain immensely. Suede is the Sustainable Urban Economic Development Programme, a partnership between the UK's FCDO, the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, and Tetra Tech International Development. Sounds like a lot already, but Suede isn't just another urban project. It is a literal game changer that turns citizens' voices into data-driven plans, seed funds, climate-proof infrastructure, and weaves rural economies into thriving urban value chain. But where do we begin? At the core of Suede is the Urban Economic Development Plan. So sketching out roads and pipe routes, well, yes, but it is so much more than just random sketches of monuments and flamboyant structures. It is a framework that is participatory and, more importantly, data-driven. Rather than the more popular route of planning models and planting physical infrastructure for the sake of it, UEP uses economic diagnostics to identify the main value chains, investment opportunities, and specific infrastructure needs of the community. The UEP is designed by consulting all the major stakeholders who are already familiar with the landscape: municipal governments, local business owners, community groups, and technical experts. Involving those who already work and play in the cities or rural communities means that all the plans are powered locally, relevant to the context of each city or rural community, and will bear fruit economically. The perfect example would be from Iten in Kenya. Iten is the largest town in the county with a population of just over 40,000 people. However, the UEP identified a sector for potential economic growth that would naturally be ignored or overlooked: potato processing. The UEP led Suede to invest millions of dollars into an ultra-modern agri-processing plant that would eliminate post-harvest loss, provide ready-to-export produce, and create jobs. As a fun fact, this plant is only the third of its kind in all of Africa. So, with locally owned roadmap in hand, the next challenge is funding. How do we go about turning blueprints into bricks and mortar? A brilliant plan means little without money. This is where Suede's Catalytic seed funding steps into de-risking projects and pulling additional public and private investors on board comes in. With huge sums of money already on the table, other investors are more incentivized to throw their hearts into the ring. The method is a no-brainer for gathering resources for climate-forward infrastructure and productive value chains. In Malindi, Suede underwrote initial capital for a waste-to-value plant that converts fecal sludge into clean fuel briquettes. In a metaphorical sense, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. The project tackled sanitation, it cut emissions, and seeded new green energy enterprises that employed local labor. As of February 2025, this model had leveraged over £64 million in follow-up investments, reaching nearly 200,000 households and generated more than 52,000 jobs. Funding secured, however, all the money in the world isn't enough if projects wither under extreme weather. So Suede weaves in resilience into every plan. Every UEP embeds a climate risk assessment to future-proof investments. It is one of the most important parts of the Suede methodology. The climate risk assessment allows the plan to identify and prepare for possible extreme weather conditions with the best building measures for the locality. In flood-prone areas, for example, Isiolo, Suede financed sustainable urban drainage systems, with flooding being a common occurrence in the city. These systems will manage the flow of stormwater, thereby reducing flooding. Apart from protecting the investments, it also means that other overall livelihoods and public health can remain safe as well. But it does not end there. There is also green technology. Suede promotes the use of solar-powered facilities, sustainable waste management systems, and climate-smart agriculture. These are all efforts that align with Kenya's National Climate Change Action Plan. Apart from contributing to the wider environmental goals of the country, it also paints a pleasant picture of a forward-thinking nation in the global fight to save our planet. But while durable infrastructure is vital, longevity depends on capable local institutions. This is why Suede invests heavily in people and governance. Suede believes that empowering local communities is crucial for the long-term success of its projects. Lasting progress is heavily dependent on local organizations and their abilities, so they work to boost the skills of the city governments and local partners. The best part is that the measures are not random. Suede designs tailored training, technical assistance, and mentorship for the specific needs and pain points of the cities and rural communities and their leaderships. They are equipped with the skills required to manage urban growth, attract more investment, and oversee existing projects. This also extends to financial management, procurement, monitoring, and evaluation, including climate risk planning. These give the municipal officials and community leaders all the tools they need to implement, sustain, and scale projects. Interestingly, there is more. Suede also works to improve government structures by promoting transparency, accountability, and inclusive decision-making. In the long run, development experiences longevity, benefits are equitably distributed, and the locals also get a say in shaping their communities. Now, stronger cities should also uplift their rural areas, and Suede considers it an essential part of long-term development. Although Suede mainly focuses on cities, its ripple effects reach deep into the countryside, which may miss out on development without intentional effort. By connecting urban agro-processing facilities to nearby farms, Suede creates stable, predictable markets for rural producers. I have already mentioned the eating potato plant, but there are also Suede set up fruit processing ventures in Malindi. These automatically create a huge demand for agricultural produce from the surrounding rural areas. These plants are absorbing thousands of tons of produce each season, lifting farmers' incomes, reducing post-harvest losses, and curbing refugee-like migration to overcrowded cities that lead to overpopulation and congestion. The seamless integration of rural supply and urban demand strengthens food security, diversifies incomes, and knits together regional economies. So, what about misappropriation by bad actors? Well, not so fast. Accountability and continuous development are as important to the Suede program as any other thing that we have discussed so far. This is why they also deploy a very rich monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework. Progress is measured via preset key performance indicators and impact evaluation. The system is also able to draw lessons from data received to improve development and inform adaptive programming. The structure of the MEL allows it to be participatory and iterative. This is in keeping with all the Suede practices discussed earlier. Feedback loops with all stakeholders at different levels are also taken into account. The data allows Suede to stay steps ahead with emerging challenges and possible opportunities that may be in hiding. They are also building a large bank of data and evidence that can guide future decisions and initiatives. With all this in mind, we can conclude that we have a proven model in hand. The question becomes, how can Nigeria adapt these lessons to its own secondary cities? Nigeria is already heavily burdened with the seemingly impossible task of transforming its rural communities and secondary cities, all experiencing the challenges of rapid growth, climate shocks, and a massive rural-urban divide. But then, the Suede model offers a practicable, scalable, and impactful framework. Similar to Kenya, Nigeria is recording some of the most rapidly growing secondary cities. There is no doubt that these can serve as an anchor for broader regional development. With the participatory urban economic planning process that Suede offers, local governments in Nigeria get access to any and everything that they need to develop bespoke economic blueprints for their communities. This includes both urban and rural localities. Whether it's a cassava processing plant in the Middle Belt or solar mini grid in the north, it starts with the catalytic seed funding system of Suede. Then the involvement of Nigeria's development finance institutions, and of course a synergy on the public and private front. These partnerships will heavily de-risk critical rural infrastructure projects that will lay the building blocks for further development. The implementation of climate resilient measures, especially in flood-prone regions, will safeguard billions in public assets, contribute to long-term sustainability, and everything in between. Capacity building activities and governance reforms tailored to Nigeria's specific needs and leadership structure open huge doors to efficiency and transparency in projects. Two things that we desperately need. Moreover, linking agricultural productivity in rural Nigeria to value chains connected with nearby urban markets would stimulate economic activities, reduce poverty, and curb rural-urban migration. Suede shows us that inclusive, climate-smart urban development isn't a lofty idea. It's a step-by-step process. Diagnose local economies, mobilize smart finance, build resilience, and empower communities. Nigeria stands at the cusp of a similar breakthrough. If this vision resonates with you, please give it a like, subscribe, and comment on which Suede strategy you would like to see launched in your local community or city. Let's build sustainable futures together.